You ever have one of those mornings where you're sipping coffee, thinking the biggest thing you'll deal with is some clogged drain or a squirrel getting into the birdseat? Yeah, that's how my Tuesday started. Until three men in dollar store tactical vests and crooked baseball caps shoved through my front gate and slapped me square across the face before I even had a chance to put down my coffee mug. "This is a foreclosure order for unpaid maintenance fees," the heavy-set guy snarled, practically spitting the words, and before I could wrap my head around what was happening, one of them kicked me in the knee so hard it sounded like snapping a dead branch. I dropped, hard, onto the gravel driveway, legs screaming, the world spinning. But here's what they didn't know. The woman doing dishes inside, that's my wife, and if they'd had a clue about who she used to be, they'd have never set foot on my property. Let me back up a second. My name's Ethan Cole. I'm 42, an aerospace engineer, which basically means I spend half my time arguing with computer models and the other half convincing Boeing that my ideas won't bankrupt the company. My wife Natalie and I bought this lakeside cabin about 8 years ago, best decision we ever made. She'd just left the Navy after 2 tours overseas, and we both needed somewhere peaceful, somewhere you can hear the wind in the pines and not much else. My drafting studio takes up the whole top floor, and the rest of the place is all windows and decks and memories we've built together. Life was simple, predictable, safe, until this mess started. That morning, I was out fixing a drainage problem in the driveway, NPR quietly muttering from my phone, coffee getting cold on the railing, tools scattered everywhere. Natalie was inside, humming along to a true crime podcast, working on lunch. I swear, everything about that morning felt right, until a white panel van blocked my truck and 3 strangers started marching my way, looking like they'd just failed the audition for some low-budget cop show. Their gear was all wrong, badges pinned on sideways, mismatched boots, tactical vests loaded with who knows what. I knew something was off before they even spoke. The leader, a guy in his 40s with a patchy beard, stepped forward and called my name. "We're here on official HOA business," he said, like that meant something. The HOA here is basically a newsletter from Margaret Foster and an annual barbecue. Nothing more, and I'd never missed a payment. Still, I played it cool, asked for ID, and got handed a folder that looked like it had been copied and recopied a dozen times. No letterhead, no real signature, just a pile of legal-looking nonsense. 15 grand in unpaid fees, he growled, shoving the papers in my face. I almost laughed, but I stayed calm, asked what office they worked for, and that's when I saw the tattoo, MCPD, Metro County Police Department, on the youngest one's arm. Either he was a cop, or he really wanted people to think he was. The tension started climbing, and before I knew it, the big guy slapped me across the face. Hard. And then his buddy took my leg out. I hit the ground, pain blazing, but some part of me registered that my doorbell camera, AI-powered, thanks to a late-night paranoia spree, was streaming all of this live to our neighborhood Facebook group. Now, what those geniuses didn't realize was my wife. Yeah, the one rinsing plates inside, heard the whole thing. And before you could say bad life choices, Natalie was out the door, moving like she'd just been called back into action. I couldn't see much, my vision was half stars, but I caught a glimpse of her ducking behind the raised beds, staying low, eyes cold and calculating. And here's the twist, the real kicker. Natalie wasn't just any Navy veteran. She'd spent a good chunk of her 20s learning how to neutralize threats in places where the law is more of a suggestion. The next 30 seconds looked like something out of an action movie. She took down the guy with the police tattoo first, a blood choke that dropped him like a sack of potatoes, then disarmed the second one with a nerve strike, and put the leader flat on his back with a palm to the temple. 3 grown men, all supposed tough guys, laid out on our driveway next to my scattered tools, Natalie barely breaking a sweat. All of it caught on camera, every neighbor in Pine Ridge glued to their phones. But the story wasn't over. As I tried to breathe through the pain, sirens started up, distant but getting closer. Mrs. Henderson, our neighbor across the street, was already outside, phone in hand. Turns out, she'd been running facial recognition on the doorbell live stream and pegged one of the guys, Webb, as a former cop who got booted for excessive force. Yeah, that happened. The police arrived, Officer Mitchell in the lead, and thank God for her. She took one look at the scene, got Ethan on a stretcher, and started treating this for what it was, a conspiracy, not just a crazy home invasion. When they searched the bad guys, they found more than fake foreclosure docs. There was a floor plan of our house, notes on valuables, and a list of names. This wasn't about some overdue HOA bill. It was bigger. Enter Detective Morrison. He connected the dots. This same scam had happened at other lakefront homes. All of the military or veteran families, all pressured into selling after enforcement actions by fake HOA goons. And the company buying up these properties for pennies on the dollar? Alpine Strategic Holdings, front for a political campaign run by a woman named Linda Marlowe, city council hopeful, promising revitalization. Turns out, her plan for Pine Ridge was to bulldoze half the neighborhood for a luxury resort, and anyone who got in her way was fair game. The Jenkins family, old Navy buddies of Natalie's, had lost their house the same way, and it kept snowballing. Every case involved the same lawyer, the same judge, the same dirty tricks. Military families targeted, their homes snatched up, their voices buried under a pile of legal red tape. Natalie and I, even from a hospital bed, pulled in everyone we knew, friends, neighbors, even a former student of mine turned attorney, and built a war room right in the community center. What blew the lid off everything was a late-night recording Natalie made of Linda Marlowe bribing city council members to fast-track zoning changes, 50 grand apiece, to support the vision. Add that to Mrs. Henderson's live streams, the neighbors' stories, and you had the makings of a bombshell. We realized the only way out wasn't through the local system, too corrupt, too deep, but by going federal. Michael, our lawyer friend, drafted a civil rights lawsuit, rallying all the families together. The community wasn't just fighting for our homes. It was about standing up for every family that had been pushed around, cheated, or silenced. You want a twist? Here you go. The judge who'd been rubber stamping these foreclosures, Patricia Williams, turned out to be Marlowe's own sister, hiding behind a married name. The cop with the softball shirt, her nephew. The whole thing was a family business, a pipeline from homeowners' misery to Marlowe's campaign fund. And once we exposed that, the dominoes started to fall. The feds moved in, right as Marlowe sent a private security team to intimidate us at our meeting. But Mrs. Henderson had the whole showdown streaming live. Over 50,000 people watched as federal agents rolled up, slapped cuffs on Marlowe, and hauled her off for money laundering, conspiracy, racketeering, the works. The footage went viral, politicians scrambled to distance themselves, and the state AG promised an investigation. You think that's the end? Not quite. The arrest led straight to a senator. Yeah, an honest-to-God U.S. senator, caught with a suitcase full of cash and a list of similar schemes running in a dozen other states. Suddenly, Pine Ridge became ground zero in a national crackdown on HOA fraud, political corruption, and organized crime. They even passed the Pine Ridge Protection Act, gave homeowners new rights, and put Michael in charge of a federal oversight office. Natalie got invited onto cable news as a security consultant. Me? I decided to leave engineering, went to law school, and started helping other families fight back. But you know what sticks with me most? It's not the legal victories or the news stories. It's the way the community came together. The Jenkins got their house back. The annual lake cleanup is now a security summit. Neighbors who barely knew each other before are now the best kind of family. One that watches out for each other, keeps an eye on the horizon, and never lets anyone fight alone. If you ask me what I learned, it's this. Justice doesn't come from waiting around for someone else to fix things. Sometimes you have to take a punch, stand up, and make sure everyone sees what's really going on. And when you do, when you refuse to be bullied or silenced, you find out just how much power ordinary people still have. So, yeah, if our story hits home, if you've seen anything like this in your own backyard, don't stay quiet. Drop your thoughts below, share your own story, and let's keep the pressure on. Because when we stand up together, there's nothing we can't face. You know what I mean?